Today, we're going to be talking about how to change your thoughts. If you want to transform yourself, if you want to transform your life, the most important thing that you need to do is to be able to change your thoughts. And so I got a question from someone who listened to a couple of the books that I recommend, and they wanted to know how to change their thoughts. So we're just going to jump right into this, and we'll talk about exactly what it takes to change your thoughts, which is going to allow you to transform yourself and to become the man that you want to be. All right. So he says, "Hello, John. I listened to Man's Search for Meaning." Okay, that's by Viktor Frankl. "And I'm listening for the second time to As the Man Thinketh." All right. I think that's James Allen. And he says, "Thank you for suggesting them. This is what I'm taking from them." All right. He says, "There is purpose in suffering. There is no change without suffering, and everything begins with my thoughts. So if I want to change my behaviors, I need to start with changing my thoughts. How do I change my thoughts?" So I think this is a great question. There's a couple of things I want to clear up first, which is that, first of all, there's not really purpose in suffering. Suffering is when you resist reality. Pain isn't a choice, right? Someone can harm you. Someone can cause pain to you. You're going to experience pain in life. Pain is part of life, but suffering is always a choice. When we choose to deny the reality or to not accept the reality of a situation, that is when we suffer. When we accept it, when we let it be what it is and go with it, even though there may be pain, we don't have to suffer. So if you're suffering as a human being, it's always a choice that you're making to suffer instead of accepting what the current reality is. But there is definitely no change without pain, right? You have to go through some kind of pain, or really what I would call it is discomfort. It'd be more accurate to say that there's purpose in some pain and that there is no change without discomfort. You must go outside of your comfort zone in order to have a change in your life. And a lot of times going out of your comfort zone, it is pain. That it might be some actual physical pain, whether you're training to run a marathon or shape your body, or doing fasting or meditation or something like that, where it is actually painful to you, or it might be the kind of discomfort of facing rejection, facing your fears, things like that. So he says also that, it all starts with your thoughts, right? Which is true. Okay. So, if you want to change your behavior, right, you need to start with changing your thoughts. How do you change your thoughts? Well, let me go back a little bit and let's look at where your behavior comes from, right? If you're a member of the Bulldog Mindset membership, you have probably, if you haven't already, go check out the lesson in there on the rubber band theory. Okay, this is how to break addictions instantly, right? I've helped a lot of people to break addictions. I've broken addictions myself. Go check it out. $7 for the first month. Join us and get in there. But there's a rubber band theory video in there. But I'm going to give you kind of the basics of that. And you can watch the whole video and a lot of stuff to help train your brain, retrain your brain. But the key thing to understand here is that your behavior and actions basically flow from your nature, right? Who you are determines what you do, okay? That's why a certain animal, okay, right? A monkey climbs trees. Why? Because it's a monkey. So its nature determines its actions, right? So you're going to find that although that may be true for animals, you have the ability to change your nature. You have the ability to change essentially who you are, which really is deep rooted into your identity or your self-image. Dr. Maxwell Maltz in Psycho-Cybernetics, really good book, talks about this idea of self-image affecting everything, and you can't escape that. So what you believe about yourself is what you will become. You can sort of try to escape that for some period of time. You can use your willpower to prevent yourself from doing things, but ultimately how you think about yourself, right? The thoughts that you have is what will define your actions, because when we look at it, right, our behavior flows from our nature. So instead of trying to modify our behavior, like most people do, we need to modify our nature, which is influenced by our thoughts. Okay, so how do you change those thoughts? There's a couple things that you can do. At a very basic level, you can filter out the thoughts that are not constructive to you and change the syntax of them. So for example, a lot of people say, I'm lazy, I'm dumb, I'm angry, whatever it is. They have negative self-talk about themselves. So instead you can filter that. And again, you don't want to deny the truth of the situation, right? Denying truth is going to cause you suffering. Instead, what you can say is, what is the real truth of this? Are you actually lazy? Is that your identity? Are you an angry person? Or is it that in the past, you have acted in a way that was lazy, right? In the past, you have procrastinated on things, right? In the past, you have lost your temper very quickly or let things irritate you. That's all in the past, right? It's not who you are, it's what you've done. That's a true acknowledgement, right? So by just changing that, that is effectively changing your thoughts. You're just filtering your thoughts to be what you want them to be. And you can even add to that and say, in the past, I have been a person who has procrastinated. I've procrastinated a lot of things, but that's not who I am now. And now I'm a very studious person who is very productive. Okay. That can be true if you make that your thoughts, right? You have to change your thoughts in that way. Now, the bigger way to do this and to change your thought patterns is to change what you consume, right? I talk about environment all the time, right? You are a product of your environment, right? This is very, very true. You are what you pickle in. So if you put a cucumber in pickle brine, what does it become? It becomes a pickle, right? So what is it that you are pickling in? We're all pickling in something, right? So you're watching these videos on YouTube. Okay. So to some degree, it should be shaping your thoughts, right? It is shaping your thoughts if you emailed me and said this. Okay. So that's good. All right. But what else are you consuming? Okay. What are the books that you're reading? All right. Are you reading any books? What is the television programs that you're watching? Are you watching Netflix? What shows are you watching, right? Every single show that I ever see on Netflix or on TV, it has an agenda. It has a hidden message in it. Okay. You're being brainwashed by this stuff. Okay. Watching a show every once in a while, not a big deal. But if you're continually watching shows, they're just basically giving you your own thoughts. They're telling you what to think. They're making you think these things. You might think, oh no, I'm an independent thinker. I'm not influenced by that. You're wrong. You're being given a script and you will be what you brine in. There is no way around it. So it will shape you and will shape your thoughts. Okay. So you have to be careful what media you're consuming, what books you're consuming, and the people around you, right? If you hang around negative people who say negative things, right? Who have the victim mindset, right? Who are lazy, who don't want to do things in their life, who blame other people, whatever it is, you fill in the blank. If you hang around those people, you will become that. Those will become your thoughts because that's what you'll be talking about. That's what you'll be thinking about. All right. So the very first thing you need to do if you want to change your thoughts is you need to change your environment. Start reading positive books. Even if you have a negative attitude, it doesn't matter. Read positive books. Read books that are going to help you. Again, I've got a ton in the Bulldog Mindset membership. I've got a whole book list in there. We do book summaries in there. We have a book club in there. Go check that out. If you haven't, that's a good step there. Also, in that environment, in the Bulldog Mindset membership, we have other guys that are on the same wavelength, right? In the Facebook group, Discord server, we are talking about these things. This is the environment that I want you to be in because I want you to have that kind of mindset. So that's the most important thing is figure out how to change your environment. Figure out what books, right? What programs, if you're going to watch YouTube or watch television, be cognizant of that. And then the people that you're around, all right? That's going to be the number one thing. Now, once you do that, the second thing that you can do is your actions. So there's sort of this feedback cycle. I know I said that your behavior flows from your nature, but it also goes backwards to a degree, right? So if you take the actions of the person that is the person, the identity that you want to have, you'll start to adapt that identity because your thoughts will change around that. So for example, let's say that you are like, well, I want to change my thoughts so that I think of myself as a person who has discipline and who has endurance and is a athlete. Okay. That's really hard to do. You can't just, if you soak in the environment, you can probably inspire yourself in some way and you're around those people, but it's really hard for you to change those thoughts. But if you went and you said, okay, for the next month, if you started running every single day, let's say you ran 3 miles every single day, right? And maybe one day a week you ran 10 miles. And maybe that's really hard for you to do. Maybe you have to take some breaks in between because you've never run before in your life, but you did this for a full month. All right. After that amount of time, your brain, your thoughts would be, I'm a runner. Your thoughts would be, I'm tough. Your thoughts would be, I have discipline, right? Because you've taken the actions that show that. So now your brain's going to start thinking that way. So that's going to change your thoughts. Does that make sense? Right. So if you do things, those things will influence your thoughts. You'll have to say, oh, well, this must be true about myself, right? If you do lazy things, your brain will say, oh, well, this must be true about myself. So what you do will determine how you think about yourself and the thoughts that you have. So in wrapping this all up, if you want to change your thoughts, you need to change your environment, and then you need to change the actions that you do that align with the person who has the thoughts that you want to have. It's very difficult for you to exactly change your thoughts. Instead, you can modify them. So if you have bad thoughts come in your mind, don't dwell on those things, push them out or change them. Instead of saying I'm lazy, say in the past, I have been lazy, but now I'm a very studious and productive person. That's how you do it, is that thought comes in your head and you can change the thought, because you can't control the thoughts that come into your head. What you can control is the environment, what you're around. You can control your actions that you do, and then you can alter those thoughts when they come into your head. And that's going to give you the ability to transform yourself completely.